Hi all. I've been investing into VDHG for the last 5 years. I still have 20 to 30 years of working left. Sounds like you need to be investing into super, brah. I want simplicity, hence my decision to invest in VDHG. And closer to retirement, invest more into bonds. Well, you do have 10% in VDHG of defensive, but I won't bury the lead. I'm getting sucked into all the comments and fear about tax inefficiencies of VDHG, especially when it accumulates in 20 or 30 years. I see a lot of people investing into DHHF because of this. Thoughts on changing my regular investments into VDAL, which is the Vanguard Diversified All Growth, and closer to retirement, invest into a Vanguard bond to create a better defensive portfolio. Just on that, when you retire, mate, I don't know why I'm being all like, mate, and look at me and all this. When you retire, the money still needs to work for another 20 or 30 years. So I don't think it's this, and the more we get educated about this stuff, I don't think it's this retire now and move all our money to cash and bonds, not that you're going to do all of it. I would like to stick with Vanguard as I use Vanguard Personal Investor and aren't too concerned about high fees compared to DHHF. If it's still a good product. Now, stick with it then. The problem is when you see stuff online with tax drag and all that stuff, you can't ignore the fact that the best bang for buck that you get from your investing is the new money and the capital that you put into that. Sure, like your superannuation, if you had a retail or an industry fund super account, if you had that money in an IDPS, individually directed portfolio service, the tax, so I'll restate that, in a unitized fund within super, there is always provision for taxes in the unit price, okay? Because they've got to bake it into the unit price. And it's similar to some of these tax drags and whatnot. So in a perfect world, it's better not to have your money sitting in an industry fund, in a retail fund. It's better to be in a wrap account or a fund that your money is separate from the pool of money. However, does that mean other super funds are bad and you should move? No, it doesn't. And a lot of people have retired and had all this money in retirement using these types of setups and strategies. And for me personally, I hold a VDHG investment in an investment bond. And I see the stuff online about the tax drag and people sound sophisticated. And a lot of the people that post about it, they're highly technical and they're either engineers or really into IT. And it can actually confuse people and will stop people taking action and will cause people like Indigo Mouse to stress. So I don't think there's a stress there. I really don't. If anything, I'm more concerned that you're doing all this investing if it doesn't read to me that you're going to want the money before retirement age and you've been investing for the last 5 years. So worst case scenario, maybe you're 25, 25, 35, 45, 55 gets us to 55, 30 years. There's a high chance statistically that you're 30 if you're a listener of our show or more. So my challenge is, why aren't you considering your superannuation as opposed to ordinary money? And there could be some reasons for that. There could be that you're capped out with your SG and whatnot. So, yes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get stuck in the weeds of stuff. So I've got the VDHG and they're for my nieces and nephews in investment bonds, but I don't, for my investing within my super fund, for example, I use the Life Sherpa Invest portfolio, which is an IDPS, and you can get that in ordinary money. And they, Vince and the team, they support the podcast here, so disclosing that. But yeah, I don't know. I just would not stress about these little things online. And I say it a lot. I think there's like someone under 50 or maybe in their 30s or 40s, there's like a 0.3% difference by the time they get to age 60 or 65 if they had an IDPS or a wrap account as opposed to a unitized fund, because there's just the internal tax is what gets you, because they've got to sell down portions to, feed the pool. And when everyone was, with a superannuation, was it 296, having a minor aneurysm, with over 3 million. Is it what was that? Division 296. Yes. The whole thing was they're taxing unrealized gains and all that stuff. They're doing that with a unitized fund anyway. So, yeah. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.